Hello everyone, in this Halo Infinite tips video we're going to be looking at how to find the best aim settings for you. If it takes you more than 5 bursts to kill someone with a BR, then that's a sign you need to improve your aim settings. We'll start by adjusting your major aim settings. Scroll down to sensitivity and acceleration. Some people prefer to have a low sensitivity and high acceleration so they can turn around a little faster, all the while keeping a steady aim. Some prefer to have a high sensitivity and low acceleration so the aim feels more consistent. I've used both and currently I have it on low sensitivity with also a low acceleration and it's working fine for me as of now. The disadvantage of this setup is that if you get shot in the back you won't be able to turn around quickly, but the aiming feels very smooth. If you use a higher acceleration, sometimes that scaling of speed the acceleration provides can put your aim off. If you want the settings to feel closer to the previous Halo games, then I recommend turning acceleration to 1. If you're not sure what you prefer, simply test out the acceleration at 1, then try it at 5, see which side you like more, then if need be, you can always adjust it up or down as you get the feel for it. Now let's adjust your look sensitivity. One important thing to know is that horizontal and vertical don't scale the same in Halo Infinite. If you set them both to 4, the vertical sensitivity will still feel a bit slower. This is the reason most people, including me, have a higher vertical sense than the horizontal. The values you set are personal to you. You can try my settings, however my controller is different than yours. I might have used it longer, making the sticks feel more loose. If you just copy other people's settings without adjusting anything, you'll never find a good match. To find a good setup for yourself, go to the weapons drills and choose the level 3 BR drill. Set a sensitivity of 4 or 5 and try to track the Spartans as much as you can. If your aim falls behind the Spartan, then you should turn your sensitivity up. If your aim goes past, then you should turn it down. Test and experiment until you can comfortably track them. Then set your vertical sense around 2 points higher to make it feel even all around. Don't worry if you can't track perfectly. The next few adjustments we'll make will improve your aim even more. Dead zones set how large the 0 position is when there's no input to the thumbstick. The smaller your dead zone, the more responsive the stick will feel. I recommend setting all dead zone settings to 0, then let go of the thumbsticks. If your Spartan starts to move, then you have drift on your left stick, so increase both of your move dead zones until you stop moving. You don't need to get this perfect as a lower value means a more responsive strafe. If you can put up with your Spartan drifting a little, then just leave it at 0. Now onto the look dead zone. This one is a little more important to nail as you want to be as precise as possible. So likewise, if your Spartan is looking around even when you're not touching the stick, then increase both the center and axial dead zones by 0.5 until you eliminate stick drift. If you get to a point where there's no stick drift left whatsoever, but your aim feels a little twitchy because of the low dead zones, don't turn the dead zones up. Instead, you should look at lowering the maximum input threshold, which is the next adjustment we'll make. The higher your threshold, the faster the stick will feel. The lower it is, the slower it feels. I recommend turning the movement threshold all the way up to 15 so you get to max speed as soon as you move the left stick because you want your strafes to be as quick as possible. On the other hand, the look threshold is a little different. You can also turn the look threshold up to 15, but this can give a twitchy aim. Some people don't like it that way, some do, so it's up to you. If you want to use the entire range of the thumbstick motion available, you can set this to 0. When set to 0, you must bring the joystick to the edge to reach full speed. This gives you better control over your thumbstick. However, if 0 feels a little slow for you, you can set it a little higher. I've tried it at 0 and 15, the 0 setting just feels too slow for me personally. So I turn it to around 6 instead, which is kind of the middle ground. I highly suggest you try out these lower threshold values. My aim feels a lot more precise. If you do like the extra control setting it at 0 gives you, but you want a faster aim without increasing the threshold value, you can increase your horizontal and vertical sensitivity instead. Both methods will provide a faster aim, choose whichever you like more. Again, these are personal and it all depends on your controller and what feels good for you. You might really like it at 0 or 6, or you might not even like my settings and prefer it at 15. But again, the only way to know is to test it and play some games. Most people don't realize just how much FOV impacts your aim. Have you ever been in those battles where you get lasered from ridiculous range and the guy is not even using his scope? They could be using a lower FOV, which will help them be more accurate at longer ranges. The obvious disadvantage of this is that you'll struggle more with close range gunfights and you won't see as much of your surroundings. On the opposite scale of that is a high FOV which shows a lot more of the map, however it struggles a bit at range. I recommend an FOV between 90 to 105. This range seems like the best of both worlds. If long range fights are your weakness, then try changing your FOV to 90. And likewise, if you're struggling with close range fights, then maybe a higher FOV would be better for you. I prefer to have mine at 100 as most of my gunfights are around medium range. So I hope that gives you a better idea of how all the settings work and interact with each other. You don't have to use my settings exactly the way they are, in fact I advise against that. Always customize and adjust settings to your controller and ability. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.